'Cause I'm all about him, and he's all about me. And we don't give a dang about nobody. 'Cause I'm all about him, and he's all about me.
All right, folks, welcome to the first lecture of American Constitution. And you might be asking yourself, what is this class really about? Well, it's about the American Constitution. Yeah, that goes without saying. But I'm here to tell you that, like the song said, it's all about you. You. No, but seriously, this class is all about you, and it's about the amazing things that you'll learn and the amazing things you'll be able to accomplish by the end of this semester. So I mean that this class is about you in at least two different ways. First, this class asks you one overarching question, and it's listed on your syllabus as the final paper topic. Should the United States Supreme Court have the power of judicial review? And we're going to see that there are many perspectives on that question. And here's the interesting thing. The justices themselves don't necessarily think that they should be empowered with this judicial review on every single question that they face. So we're working together this term towards a goal. By the end of the semester, you should be able to take a stand on this complicated question, and that stand should be more complex than a simple yes-no answer, because even the justices themselves don't give yes-no answers on this. We'll look at lots of different issues this term, the units on our syllabus that I'll explain later, and you should be able to differentiate these issues. You should give different reasons why the justices should or shouldn't have the power of judicial review when it comes to the specific issues that we're studying. And my sole goal is to help you choose and defend the perspective that you want to take on this question. So that's the first way this class is about you. You'll be working towards a final project in which you consider the debate and you take a stand that matters to you, staking out your own position within the debate. And I'll work as hard as I possibly can this semester to facilitate you in finding your own voice on this issue. And I'll encourage you to take part in public debates on this issue. If you want to publish an op-ed with your views, or you want to publish your final research paper, if that's something you want to do, I'll help you out. This class is about what you produce during our semester together, and it's going to be good, I know. And I want you to know right up front that a bedrock principle of my teaching is that I never discuss my own views on a topic. Never. So I am not here to teach you what to think about judicial review, but how to think about it the way a justice or a political theorist would. And to do that, we're going to be taking a look at ideas within political theory that might set people at odds about judicial review, that might set out multiple different positions that folks could take so that you have options in front of you. And you'll see by looking at the syllabus with me later on in this video that we're going to be reading both Supreme Court cases and political theorists this semester to see how they inform each other. Okay, so one of the things I just implied right there is one of the things I want you to be on the lookout for in these videos. This class focuses on two main skills, textual analysis skills and applied legal analysis skills. And throughout this class, I'm going to model those skills for you in these videos, and then I'm going to help you to do those skills when we meet synchronously over Zoom. So often in these videos, I'm going to speak directly to you like this into this camera, and that's to address one or the other of these skills that I want you to pick up. I might be going along talking about a text, quoting it and analyzing it, and then I'll pop into one of these views here so I can say how I'm doing that analysis so that you can pick that up and do it like that as well. And I'm going to speak directly to you like this. So be on the lookout for these little asides, because they're where we're going to address the skills that you need to excel on both the exams and the final paper in this class. Textual analysis skills and applied analysis skills. I'll be showing you precisely what it is that judges do when they write their opinions, and I'll be showing you at the same time what you might be expected to do as a first-year law student in reading their opinions. They use quotes from laws and from previous legal opinions in very particular ways that I'm going to show you. That's textual analysis. And they lay their written opinions out in very particular ways as well. There's always a pattern to them. They cover the facts, and then they cover the law, and then they cover the legal issue or problem that's handed to them in the case. So let's say that the law applied allowed the government to wiretap your phone so they could listen to your conversations. But now the phone they're wiretapping is a cell phone. And so not only can they listen to your conversations, but they can see exactly where you are at any given time. Well, that's a new legal problem. Is the government allowed to do that? They were allowed to tap a phone for your conversation. Can they also follow you around town? Later on in the semester, we're going to deal with exactly that issue. So after they define the legal issue, they then articulate a rule that they want the other courts to follow. And applying that rule, they reach a holding. So the basic parts of a case that we're going to be focusing on this term are the facts, the law, the legal issue, the rule, and the holding. And I'm going to show you what all of these skills are that are necessary to write a legal opinion. But it's not just a way of writing, it is doing the law. It is textual analysis and applied legal analysis. It is the law. Now, all of this comes together in a second way that this class is about you. For each of the topics we cover, I'm going to do 2 short videos just like this one. In fact, I'll be right here in this room. And these videos are to prep you for the synchronous class that we'll do over Zoom. But they'll be short, about 15 minutes each. Since we cover 2 topics for each week's class meeting, that means 4 short videos per week. But we'll also divide our synchronous class together into 2 parts so that we're covering the 2 topics separately. So that means that the bulk of your learning is going to occur in those synchronous Zoom meetings that we hold, where we analyze the text of our cases and we do applied legal analysis together, you and I. So what's the purpose of the 2 videos then? Well, now that we're attending Zoom University, the traditional college lecture has kind of outlived its purpose, hasn't it? When everyone's on campus, a class congregates together in one room at a given time, and the professor usually speaks for most of that time. The focus of that class then is on the professor's understanding, the professor's knowledge, the professor's analysis. She's the one modeling her discipline for you, and you're supposed to pick it up from that modeling. So her expertise is a great thing. And when we were together, maybe those classes went well if she was particularly engaging, if she was particularly open to your comments or questions, if she was open to you asking questions in the middle of lecture, or if she left time at the end for you to seek clarification and apply ideas. But Zoom University actually presents us with an opportunity to break out of that model. Because let's face it, that model didn't always work, even when we were face to face. Sure, you could ask questions. Sure, you could follow along with the lecturer and make eye contact and be engaged and etc. But the truth is, that's not a lot of engagement. And there wasn't a lot of opportunity for you to apply or practice the skills that you were being taught. But look, regardless of whether it worked in person, that style of learning, an hour of sort of talking at you and then expecting you to follow that model in your written work just isn't going to work over Zoom U. But what if all of this presents us with an opportunity of sorts, an opportunity to make the college classroom about what it should have been about from the very beginning, ensuring that you become expert, assuring that you can analyze. So I'm going to use these videos for that traditional purpose of modeling what it is that a legal analyst does, especially with texts. And I'm going to be super explicit in explaining to you how the legal analyst is doing their work and our 2 forms of analysis. But then we're going to use our classroom time together for what it should be about, you. Our synchronous Zoom meetings, our classroom time, are going to provide the opportunity for me to work alongside you as you do law yourself. And that means you're going to address the issue of judicial review using the elevated ideas and analysis that justices use. I'm going to keep the videos to a minimum, explaining to you the basic debates about the cases. And in particular, I'll be focusing on the rules that are articulated in these really important Supreme Court cases, landmark cases, as I'll sometimes call them. Then I'm going to help you as you do the work to analyze the issues in our synchronous meetings. What that's going to mean is taking the rule that we've studied in these videos and applying it to new facts and law. So almost every week we'll have test cases where I present you in class with a sheet of paper with some new facts and a new law on it, and you'll be asked to apply what you learned in these videos to the new facts and law. So let me underline this. You absolutely are going to need these videos. You won't be able to just memorize what I say in these and spit that back at me on a test. That's boring. That's not at all what this class is about. These videos provide you with the building blocks you'll need to construct your own opinions. So when we meet in class, you'll absolutely need to understand these building blocks already. You'll have to have a few of them in front of you so you can start doing the work of legal analysis. There'll be no hiding in the back of the room, hoping that the professor doesn't call on you. You will all be asked to participate. You will all be doing law. So you might say, we're going to use Zoom for what it's good for. There's a reason that you have a microphone on your end of the Zoom call. It's so that you can participate. And that's what we're going to use Zoom for. It's bad for reading a lecture at you in a one-sided way. It's good to engage you in thinking and analyzing and doing your own intellectual work. So what is this class about? Notice that so far I've barely even mentioned the syllabus and the topics that we're going to cover just yet. So I'll say something very briefly about this here at the end of this video. In particular, I'll say how the topics that we're learning this semester are going to be actually used to address your final paper topic. So if I were you, I'd pull up the syllabus right now and be looking at it as I go through the final paper topic. The final paper topic asks you to write a paper in 2 parts, which correspond roughly to 2 different types or categories of things we'll be learning this semester. There's lots of specifics within each category, but there's 2 broad categories. We'll be covering debates about judicial review and also specific cases that'll raise questions for us about whether judges or justices should really be doing this thing called judicial review. In the first part of the paper, I'll ask you to take a stand within a debate about the propriety of judicial review, either a debate from the American founding period or the debate about the democratic nature of our judicial institutions that Ronald Dworkin and Jeremy Waldron are having. You'll see these debates on our syllabus. The American founding debates are in weeks 1 and 2 to get us kicked off. And then in week 14, just as you're turning to your final paper, we'll go into a contemporary debate about judicial review. And we'll see that a lot of these people oppose each other on these issues. So when I say get into a debate, you're going to have to understand both sides and then take a stand somewhere within that debate. So you would, for instance, talk about Hamilton versus Madison, who had different ideas about judicial review, or Madison versus Marshall, the first Chief Justice, John Marshall. Or you could talk about Madison versus a guy named Elbridge Gerry in the Constitutional Convention. Or you could talk about the more contemporary debate that I mentioned, Dworkin versus Waldron. I'll tell you about all these things, and you'll pick which debate you want to cover. And you can choose also which of their arguments to focus on. Are they disputing the moral and intellectual capacity of judges, of legislators? Who should really be doing this thing called review? Are they talking about the training judges get and whether that suits them to judicial review? Are they making claims about the psychological propensities of citizens and legislatures to care about or not to care about the rights of their fellow citizens? Are they trying to figure out the proper sharing of powers between all of the institutions of American government, judicial, legislative, executive, and of course the state governments as well? Well, we'll cover each of those aspects of the debate about judicial review. So that's the first part of the paper, cover a debate and engage in it by taking your own stand. What's the second part of the paper? Well, the paper topic then says this, you'll see it appear in front of you. Then in the second section, intervene in that debate by arguing for a thesis that answers the question you are asking using at least 4 cases we examined this semester. Use at least 1 case from the first category we study this term, institutions. That's in weeks 2 to 4, and then appears again in week 13. Then use at least 1 case from 3 of the 4 other categories we study. Speech law, weeks 5 to 7, freedom of religion, weeks 8 to 9, privacy, weeks 10 to 11, and property rights, weeks 12 to 13. You will want to consider legal and philosophical arguments for and against the decisions the court made, as well as arguments for and against them having the power to make those decisions. So the paper topic is asking you to apply the arguments for and against judicial review that you explored in the first half of the paper to the issues presented by a series of cases in the second half of the paper, and it's asking you to make an argument about that. Make an argument is the exact same instructions that you'll get on your exams and on this final paper, and it's going to mean the same thing for us all term. And don't worry, I'm going to be right here in this camera explaining to you all term what it is that making a legal argument actually means. That's precisely what we'll be learning this term as we're learning textual analysis and applied legal analysis. We'll be learning what the justices do when they make an argument. An argument is, of course, always an argument with someone. There's always an opponent. So you'll need to know what your opponent might say about an issue and how you want to oppose them. And in these videos, I'm going to be super explicit about what it means to make an argument and about the opposing sides in each debate. And in particular, I'm going to explain to you quite clearly what parts a thesis has and how to do one. Our expectations are going to be quite high in this class. And like I said before, you'll need these videos and you'll need practice in class, where you're going to be amazed at what you'll be able to accomplish in learning legal analysis. So I look forward to getting to know you a little bit when we meet for our first time synchronously over Zoom. And when that happens, I'll explain to you something more about the topics that we'll cover this semester. And I'll also explain to you something more about how to read a Supreme Court case. But we're not going to waste our first meeting together. We're going to jump straight into the analysis of the debate over judicial review by reading pieces by Hamilton and Marshall that are on the syllabus. So be sure you've read those and be sure you watch the videos about those. And I look forward to discussing with you in class. See you then.